All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the public hearing for the town of Dudley. At this time, I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded and ask everyone to join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Open up to the agenda. Okay. New business, approval of minutes for the April 9th, 2025 meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Anybody have any questions or comments regarding the minutes? Anybody want to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept the minutes as presented for the April 9th, 2025 meeting.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Richard made the motion and David seconded. All right. Next on the agenda, we have Tom Ravane Builders / Galaxy Management LLC. We have anybody here for Galaxy?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Patrick Doherty. I'm with Galaxy Development / Midpoint Engineering.
Perfect timing.
Yes. I have apologized for the lateness, or almost lateness. I do swimming lessons with my granddaughter on Wednesday evening, so I just made it in the nick of time. We spoke, we were asked for an update on the status of completion of the subdivision. If you've driven by, you may have seen we just recently installed the vertical granite curbing along the entrance. I don't have the exact schedule of dates, but the overall plan is to get this road completed in the next couple of months so that it can be accepted at the fall town meeting. Jimmy Carapanis in our office has been speaking to one of the residents who's been kind of serving as, I guess, the leader, and there's going to be some coordination when it comes down to the paving. We're going to have to do one side, and there's not going to be access to driveways for some time. So we've been trying to make sure that we keep the residents informed as we're going forward. I'll be down there sometime, probably next week, meeting with the paving company to get their exact schedule. But overall, I guess the next step is going to be to put the berm in, then sidewalks and paving, landscaping. We've got 2 light pole bases to set, and then some landscaping and the National Grid pole that I have been trying to contact them about every 2 weeks to just keep pushing them to remove the one pole in the entrance. I did speak with the highway superintendent. If they don't get that pole in time, the plan would be to pave up to the throat of the road and leave the section between Lyons Road and that throat of the road open until the pole is pulled, and then we would do the final top coat in that one little section. And I did go over that with Jeff Walsh of Graves, and is it RJ or MJ?
MJ.
MJ, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Does anybody from the board have any questions?
No, just a comment. I drove by there today and I noticed you get that low wall at the entrance. That's going to look really nice, I would think.
That was Tom Ravane. So I'm with Galaxy. Tom Ravane was the home builder, and he did the initial stuff. Galaxy Development is, I guess, the owner of the subdivision and has the bond on the road itself, and we're finishing up the road construction.
And Richard, is that the granite curbing up at the entrance there too?
The curbing, there's granite curbing in there, and as I said, there's this wall, and I anticipate that some landscaping will be done around that. But
Okay.
It looks good as far as it's gone so far.
Yep.
All right. So work is progressing, so that's great. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're going to be able to stay on schedule and go before a fall town meeting. That would be great.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of getting all the paperwork done at that point and getting it reviewed, because we still have to do as-built easements and gather all the other easements documents. And our plan and hope, and I've been directed that I had better get it done for the fall town meeting. So that's my directive.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, because I get confused about which ones are which, but I think we already talked about that the automatic extension that the state had. So you're all set as far as not having to apply for an extension on that. So I guess that's all we needed, and we appreciate you coming forward and clarifying what was going on up there.
Sure, and feel free to call my office at any time, or Jimmy Carapanis, who's kind of being the liaison with the residents.
Okay, great. Would you mind, before you leave, do we have a sign-in sheet?
We do now. I always put it out there and nobody signs it.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Or do we have Jimmy Carapanis' contact information? If not, maybe you could leave that.
I'll put that next to underneath.
That would be great. Okay. So next on the agenda, so I just want to make a comment here. So originally there were scheduled 2 public hearings this evening. They've both been postponed until the June meeting. So if anybody is here for the public hearings regarding the cell tower, we won't be discussing that this evening.
Okay. June 11th.
So. All right.
Notice the big balloon that's up there.
Okay.
Because our house is right there at the trail. So look outside and I see the big red balloon. And sadly, she lost 2 of them.
Well, we'll be happy to talk to you at the next,
They went, they blew away?
No, I'm Joe Sad. I'm
oh,
his
right
daughter.
across the street from, yep, sure.
Yep. And it's like watching everybody walking down the trail and everything. And I'm looking up saying, what the heck? I'm watching this big red balloon. I'm like, nope. And then finally the wind took the first one. Good, put up another one. It was big. Yes. And got caught in the tree. And from the tree, I think he cut it. Anyway, zoom. So he lost 2 big balloons.
June 11th. It's been postponed to June 11th.
June 11th, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just gotta ask if that balloon went up. Second copies?
We only have one copy of the minutes.
I have one in my,
Copy of what?
look, I just took it out.
Well, let me see if I've got one.
I'm not sure there's another.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
actually, yeah, she's got it right here.
Laura's very efficient, she's more than provided for us, thank you.
She gives us 2 copies right here.
Well, we're one ahead, or one behind, whichever the case may be.
Man, I am upside down today. I apologize. All right.
You wanna go this way and then?
Yeah, sure. We won't need this one because we got that one. We already started.
Give that to Mr. Clark. So is that balloon still up in the air right now, or they took it down?
No, so they, I think they did 2 different days. One of them was May 1st, which was a Thursday. So it sounds like they also did it, they did Thursday and Saturday. They did them, I think they did the first one from like 9 to 1 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon, and the other one from 1 in the afternoon to 5 in the afternoon. And they have, they'll discuss why they did what they did
That
and
one is
whether or not the
complete.
board is okay with that when we open the public hearing.
Second one? Yeah, this one's complete. What do we do, sign 3?
No, just give her the whole thing.
All right. We'll work it out.
You get an extra one?
Thank you.
Oh, we killed another tree.
Okay. All right, all right.
Thank you.
All right, item 3 on the agenda, going back to the regular order here. Proposed amendments to Section 3A, procedure for the subdivision and approval of plans for plan believed not to require approval, also known as the A&R checklist. And again, this is not the public hearing. We're just going to discuss the changes and make sure everybody is satisfied with the changes as they've been put forward by the planner. And then at the next meeting, we'll have the public hearing, get public comment, and vote then.
How come we're not having the public hearing tonight?
Well, I can answer that. I sent the public hearing notice to the Webster Times to be published 2 consecutive weeks in a row, April 25th and May 2nd. And I got the tear out sheet for April 25th, and when I checked the May 2nd one, it wasn't in there. So the Times neglected to put it in the second week.
Right. And they are not going to charge us for that, correct?
There is a voucher in your folder tonight, but we're going to disregard that because
Okay.
she's going to, I sent the notice to her today, and she's going to take care of the first one and reissue another bill after the second one is done.
Okay, great.
And we had a similar noticing issue with the cell tower, which is why we're not discussing it. In that case, they didn't drop it off in time for us to get it into the paper on May 2nd. So the first notice went, in April. So the first notice went in on Friday, May 2nd, which was not 14 days in advance. And I had some back and forth on both of those issues with town council, and they said you cannot have the public hearings. In the meantime, they did say we could talk about the A&R because it's our own issue, and we had it as an agenda item the last time, which is why it's now not under public hearings. You may not, obviously you're not going to open the public hearing, and you may not act or vote. But if we figured we'd go over it. If there's anything you want me to change between now and the public hearing, I can change it, and we're going to post that. Both of those public hearings will be reposted on next Friday, a week from Friday, and then the week after. So we will have them 14 days in advance, and we'll have 2 in a row, and we'll be able to have both public hearings at that time. But in the meantime, if you want me to change anything in what we have here, we can make those changes and just say that's what we're proposing.
Gotcha.
The key takeaway from all of this is that the fact that we had to postpone both public hearings is not the fault of anyone in this room. So,
Webster Times.
Newspapers aren't what they used to be.
For the,
Cell tower?
it's been postponed till June 11th.
Are you kidding? Oh, really? Oh, my God.
We'll start interrupting.
That's okay. No, we tried to.
we were just discussing why that had to happen.
Yeah, why did it?
that have to happen?
The applicant was not able to get the materials in to be published in the paper. It has to be published in the paper,
Yeah.
and they were not able to get that to us in time so that we could publish it in time for this hearing to
I
happen
hope you
tonight.
guys will do your due diligence on this one. I
Yeah,
already got a solar nightmare. Please. I
Flooding.
can't even use my yard.
Yeah, flooding and stuff.
We can't even use the yard because the hills they built up, and I'm paying all these property taxes for 2 acres. I can't even, my pool's sinking, everything, because the runoff to the pond, so
Okay.
please.
Hopefully, we'll see you next month.
Yeah.
I'll be here. Thank
We're
you.
concerned about the gravel road. It's gonna create more water going into the pond.
Yep, it's gonna be a mess,
Yeah.
but thank you.
Okay,
June.
thank you.
Preview of things to come.
Yes, so it's gonna be. Are you here for the cell tower?
Yes.
It's been postponed till June 11th. Sorry. We tried to get it up in as many places as possible. We had trouble noticing it in the newspaper, so we were not able to open the public hearing.
Okay, all right. I was just curious. I wanted just to get some information because I own a house next door to it.
Okay, so come back next month.
Okay, thank
June
you.
11th.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Or you may want to put a note on the door. Say it's been, so that, I mean, we'll be happy to have a conversation with everyone who walks in the door, but
Chances are they're not going to even see the note. They'll just walk right in. But-
And chances are that's 3 more than I expected.
That's probably every abutter.
That probably is.
okay. Well, that's why we're not having it, because we didn't want to do anything that would
Right.
not be the proper.
Right.
All right, so,
Keep it legal.
Yep.
do you have anything under your A&R tab? I don't.
It's under new business. It's under new business.
Oh, okay.
It's not an
There's a
actual
tab for A&R, so that's why.
That's if we were gonna have an A&R to review. This is just a draft.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I did have a request today for an A&R. And then Ora and I looked at the map that they enclosed, and it turns out it's all in Charlton. So I wrote back to the guy and said, it looks like it's all in Charlton. In case it's not, let me know. Oh, sorry for the confusion. We do not have one.
Someone on the road.
All right, Eve, I guess I'll just, if you want to just go through it with us.
Sure, so while we start with the procedures, the longer one, the procedures, section 3, procedure for the submission and approval of plans.
Yep.
So the stuff that's blue and underlined is proposed new language, and then the stuff that is crossed out is what's there and is proposed to be taken away. I believe the last time we talked, there was a bit of a discussion as to what constitutes when the clock starts for an A&R and who the plan has to be submitted to, and whether the town clerk needs to be involved. So I did have a back and forth with town council, and they agree that the clock starts when the planning board gets it at the meeting, which is good if you're gonna, so we asked them, I believe, to drop it off to the planner in advance of the meeting, so that hopefully the planner will have a chance to take a look at it and make sure that's okay and double check it. But the 21-day clock does not start until it's been presented at a meeting. That said, there has to be a notice. The town clerk has to accept a notice that there are going to be an A&R at the planning board. So the town clerk is involved, but them accepting the notice doesn't actually start the clock. And I think, as far as I can tell, and I didn't get into this much detail with town council, I don't think that the clerk needs to have a copy of the A&R. I think they just have to say, I've submitted an A&R, and then people can come up and look at the planning board applications for it.
Right.
Because as Aura and I were discussing, and she's a former town clerk, otherwise they'd have a lot of documents down in the town clerk's office that they don't really need long-term, and what do they do with them?
File and procure.
Right. So it does have to, but there does have to be notice. So I tried to clarify that with what's written in blue. And then if you go down, I think we also discussed the last time, there were a lot of things that might be good to have on a plan, but are not, you would certainly need them if you were approving an actual subdivision plan. But this is the odd thing that says, we've looked at it and we've decided that it's not necessary for us to approve it. And so it's really just drawing a line, and as long as there is enough frontage and enough lot area to meet the requirements and for feasible access in some regard, the planning board can say it doesn't need approval. So things like setback requirements, scenic road designation, percentage of buildable area, topography, wetlands, those are all things that I would hope that if the person who's doing the A&R wants to actually build on the lot, they would look at these things and have their engineer look at these things to make sure that they're not creating a lot that is for some reason unbuildable. But it isn't something that the planning board needs to worry about if they have frontage and.
Not in our purview.
Exactly. So if there are, I guess there are reasons why someone might want to make more than one lot that doesn't. I think sometimes A&Rs, give some land from the back to like a land swap. They give some land to another lot, and where you're not actually creating any additional building lot.
We call them lot line changes.
Right. And so there would be reasons why we don't care if it's buildable or
Right.
not, because they're just switching parcels in the back or on the side.
And I noticed that whenever we get a plan like that, where it's going to be like a swap like that, where they're creating a lot temporarily that doesn't
Right,
conform.
they call them parcels.
They call them parcels.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's so that, because of the word lot is used in all of these regulations.
Yes, and when we go further down, we'll see we added a section that sort of adds language that says, even though we've said it doesn't need approval, it doesn't necessarily mean that it meets all other zoning and other regulations.
Right.
I've also seen lots that meet everything, but they don't perk, or there's no way to put the house far enough away from a septic or from wetlands. So the only thing the planning board is looking at in A&Rs is lot size, frontage, and feasible access. but that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna meet every other regulation, and that's on the applicant or the homeowner or the owner to determine on their own, should they decide they wanna build. So just because the planning board says we don't need approval, doesn't mean they can just go get a building permit and start building. So that's the same thing with wetlands, upland calculations, and build factor. And then, the thing about the topography, I took it out. It's on the first page. I took it out, but I think the reason it was there, the applicant can ask for a waiver of it. But one thing you could ask for if you wanted to is you could add them due topography at the access area, just so that you are
But
satisfied.
isn't that kind of covered on the next, further down where it says a profile of existing grades of the proposed access to the.
Yes, right, so that's why we took it out in the first place, but if it's a 20-acre lot and it's gonna be two 10-acre lots, do we care if do we need them to do topography
Right.
way up there where there, it might just be a hill or a downhill?
And historically, Guy, I think that's one that we've waived a lot.
Because it's expensive to do the
Right.
photography. So.
Right. So they need to show you that somehow they need to prove to you that there's accessible access. But it doesn't need to be all.
Luckily, we're a pretty small town, so when we see an A&R coming, it's pretty easy for one of us to drive by and go, oh boy, or some of us will already know that road and go, oh, we know that there's a heck of a drop off there.
So if you turn the page, then that's where it says evidence that each building lot has adequate access, and however they can show that to you, that's acceptable to you. And then the profile, of existing grades. And then the last part we added in the bullets. So words that the planning board approval under subdivision control is not required, which is already there. And then planning board, add these words as well. Planning board's endorsement of the plan as not requiring approval under the subdivision control law is not a determination as to the conformance with the town of Dudley zoning bylaws and regulations.
So even I were talking about this because the first one that's already there, that's in our regulations. The second one, I noticed that one appears on a lot of the A&Rs that we receive. So I just assumed that they were putting it there because we required it, and turns out we can't find it anywhere in our bylaws, that exact wording. So we thought, well, why don't we just make sure that it's there? Because it does exactly what we want it to do, which is lets the applicant know that even if we agree that it's an A&R, does not mean that we're saying in any way that that's a buildable lot, that's another issue. So.
Thank you for including that. I think that's vital. We have that. And
Right,
that
so then they
everybody knows.
can't come back and say, what do you mean? We just thought that
Right.
we created this lot, and of
Takes-
course it's buildable.
Takes
Yeah.
potential confusion out of the equation.
Exactly. So then we moved down to 8, which we just got rid of completely, which I think was the start of this in the first place, that one of the engineers or surveyors said, you can't really ask that. Because again, it doesn't allow them to get a building permit right away, and if they needed to get a building permit, or they were selling it, or they were doing anything else, that any fees owed to the town would be caught in that manner. So we don't need to know that for the A&R. And then the last two ones are just changing the numbers because we got rid of one.
And we did check, and the thing about the fees, I believe it comes up again separately under the subdivision regs. So by striking it here, it doesn't in any way affect the subdivision regs.
So that's the first document. Does anyone have questions or comments, or want me to make any additional, now that we have a chance to actually talk about it? Last time we were sort of talking on the fly with, let's try to cross this out. So now it's more clear, I hope. And you guys can tell me if there's anything that you would like to see put back in or taken out or added. And we can make those changes in time for the next actual posting of this public hearing.
I think it's good. I think it simplifies a lot of the things, and it will keep us from having to do a lot of waivers when people come in.
Right. Because if they don't do it, they're gonna ask you for a waiver of it.
Right.
So you must, yeah.
I think it's fine.
Okay. And then the next thing, I'm not really 100% sure what this is, but it's in our checklist. And first of all, I got rid of the part at the before the dotted line, because I wanted to.
That was the language that made it kind of ambiguous as to like when
Who
does
was
the clock
supposed to
start?
catch it, right, who was supposed to write it and accept it, and when does the clock start? And if someone gives this to the planning office, have we accepted it? If they give it to the town clerk, has it actually been accepted, and have we started the 21 days? So we added some other language down below that hopefully will take care of that, but it just seemed ambiguous and we weren't really understanding exactly how that worked. So with town council hasn't looked at this, but they did tell me, in fact, that the date doesn't start until it's been submitted to the planning board. So again, we took out property tax paid and then changed some numbers, and took out, again, some of the things that we took out on the first page. We don't need setbacks, we don't need scenic roads, buildable area, all of that kind of got taken out. Topography, under E, wetlands, it sort of mimics the one that we just looked at. And then, again, it mimics it with what words have to be written. And then, if you turn the page over, we tried to clarify. So as you know, Aura was the town clerk for a while, and she never understood what she was supposed to sign and why she was supposed to sign this, and was always afraid she was accepting something and starting the clock that she shouldn't. So I put language on there that said that the notice, you know, the planning board accepted this on this date, and then the planning board would sign it. And notice of the submission was accepted by the town clerk on a different day, and that's where the town clerk would sign. Ideally, you could have two separate ones, so they're not, the signatures aren't right next to each other. But when all of these changes are made, I think it is on one page. So I was trying to keep it on one page and make it simple. And so I think that in that case, the signatures have to be, the reason it's not on one page is because I didn't actually
Right,
get
because you
rid
wanted
of
to show
things.
us what was being
I was showing you
deleted.
what we got rid of, so.
Gotcha.
But, so the town clerk is signing because they accepted the notice of, and not because they actually accepted it, and the planning board is signing it because they accepted it. So, they go hand in hand there. They should actually say the same thing. I think this one is more for the applicant to say, yes, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, instead of, ripping a piece out of the bylaw themselves and just checking it off. This one is basically something that we can photocopy for them, or they can get online and print and check it off themselves.
Yeah, and we kind of relied on it in the past too here, so we can kind of go down and go, oh, wait a minute, was the fee
Right,
paid?
right.
Things like that.
So there's less for them to give you, but all of it is, they're giving you everything you need that's relevant to the decision that you have to make, and nothing that is not.
Gotcha.
I mean, at the end of the day, if they want to build on their lot, they will have to do all the other things, or
Right.
many of the other things, in order to get a building permit. But maybe they want to do it separately. They want to just A&R it and then sell one of the lots, and someone else is going to do all the extra work. So if they don't have to give it to us, this is a way of saving them time and energy.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but nothing changes on the Form A? Nothing has to change on that, because I think that was already pretty bare bones.
Yeah, I think it's just, I don't think that was, sorry.
Copy. Just look at the back of the book here.
Yeah, Form A is just, who, the engineer's name and their license and owners of the parcels, and
The tax number,
Yeah.
owner applicant. That's the checklist.
that's just,
Form A.
Form A is at the very front of the,
Yeah.
yeah. Form A is just kind of the bare bones, general information about who's making the application. and making sure that the
Yep.
engineer has a license to actually even be showing you the bounds.
So when I was researching this, I was surprised at how many towns just use a Form A, and that's like the only form. So.
Yeah, most of them.
Okay. All right, anybody have any other questions or comments, changes, recommendations?
Summed up good, good job.
Yep, good job.
Thank you.
All right, so we don't need to make any changes, we can just keep it up there,
Yep.
and they're the same as they were the last time. There
Yes.
was a surprising amount of interest in these regulations when the notice first went into the paper and on the town's website. People were looking for them. I think they were afraid we were doing something that they weren't gonna like. I think once they probably read them, they said, oh, I don't need to know. But
I think some people were like, what's an A&R?
right, that might be true too. It's not an easy answer. It's approval not required, except you have to come to the planning board to let them
Get
tell you that
approval.
approval is not required. Yeah, it's a misnomer. But, so we'll put it back up there, and if people have questions, it's now where it should be, and I'm happy to answer any questions. If people want to email,
Great.
they have questions and they email me, or I'm happy to answer them, but it's really just cleaning it up.
Are these changes on the website or on our town
Yes,
website?
so there was, I guess, an issue that, it went in the paper on Friday, or a couple weeks ago, and for some reason, we hadn't put these up on
Yeah, I remember.
the website. So they've now been put up on the website in time, and then we realized, then the paper decided not to run it the second time. So now it's all where it should be, and now we just have to wait for 2 more weeks.
That's when I was calling Aura on her cell phone on her day off on Friday morning and saying, oh,
Yeah.
hey, could you?
Got it done.
Yeah.
So now it's where, we haven't moved that, and we've now the only thing perhaps, or we want to change, is the top header that says public
Yeah.
hearing May 14th. We'll just
Yeah.
change that to June,
I'll do that tomorrow.
and then make sure it's still posted.
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
great.
Keep Amanda busy with all the changes.
All right, so we're on to standard business. Discussion, status report, finishing construction of and acceptance of uncompleted and accepted subdivision streets, including Pierpont Estates, nothing new there. Country View Estates, Eisenhower Drive, haven't heard anything new there. Lines Estates, we got that report earlier this evening. Sophie's Way, nothing new there. Inspections, does anybody have any comments or questions regarding anything I just said? Nope. Okay. Inspections and actions associated with site plan reviews, Legacy Landing Country Club Acres. Has anybody heard anything new there?
No, I know it was noted in the minutes that I was to keep tabs on that, so to speak. In
Okay.
some sense of it. Walked through there today and nothing seems to have changed, and nothing that's obvious in any event. So it's just as it was last month, and no indication that anything is likely to change.
As far as,
Any for some of the things that haven't been completed, if you will. I mean,
Okay.
There's supposed to be a fence that abuts my property, for example, some additional landscaping that's supposed to have been done, and I think the residents have other concerns as well, but there's no presence as far as the contractor on site that I've been aware of.
okay.
Again,
All right.
walk that pretty much every day.
And if we didn't have such a full docket for the very next meeting, I would say maybe we could request that he come in, but I don't know if we
Well-
want to do that with
Again, he's got that
two full
2-year
public
thing,
hearings.
so I
Yeah,
don't know.
right.
Good luck.
I think we.
He's gonna wanna get his bond back.
But there's no harm in asking for an
No.
update, asking, hey, could you tell us why,
Send him a letter.
right?
Do we have, or I guess do we have, have we sent a letter to this guy to tell him exactly what he needs to do, or is this just like those guys coming and complaining? Because you might not have any
I
idea.
think if he's going to appear, they will likely appear and have questions for him. I don't know. I believe there's been some correspondence between the homeowners association, if not the individual specifically, and the contractor. I don't know what the
I like-
results of that been.
I like Mr. Horn's suggestion, maybe just, instead of asking him to come in and
Yeah.
appear before us, kiss the ring, why not just send a letter and ask him if he could provide the board with a written update
Okay.
on when we can expect to see work resume
Or
on the
complete.
project?
All right.
And if he
Yeah.
has an estimated completion date.
Completion date, okay, I think that's reasonable.
Maybe include those complaints that those other guys were talking about last meeting or the meeting before?
Well, there was some,
That's not in our
there was some, yeah, there was some complaints that didn't even fall under our purview.
No.
Yeah,
Just,
I don't know, they were kind of a mixed bag.
Communication, you know?
But it
Doesn't
would be
hurt.
interesting
Yeah.
to see if he, what his response might be.
Or did you get that? Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna send him a letter and ask him to give us in writing an update as to when we can expect work to resume on the project, and if he has an estimated completion date for the project. We'll start with that and see what we get.
There was a little excitement earlier today. There were 2 flatbed trailers that were placed at the beginning of the property. And I thought, oh boy, there's something coming, because there's normally the kinds of things that you put heavy equipment on. And a large, very large dump truck had delivered them, and I thought something might be coming. But I believe it had more to do with the construction down at the end of Airport Road, and they were just staging them.
Oh,
Because they picked them up later in the afternoon,
Yeah.
and nothing else happened. They just took up space, and
Gotcha. Okay, SEP Solar, Oxford Avenue.
Is that what that woman was complaining about?
no.
No,
Oh.
no.
No.
No,
And
she
that-
did, that's, Oxford Avenue's on the other side of
That should
town,
be,
so.
that should be done, but they probably got a 2-year extension too, so it doesn't really
I
matter.
think they're waiting on parts, some kind of parts. I was talking to the wire inspector.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was talking to him about both those landfills. They're both waiting on stuff, probably from China.
Okay.
Good luck.
Stevens Mill, so, everybody's probably by now noticed, they're doing a really good job of fixing the roads down there. Because I had a lot of people that were talking to me about, hey, what are they doing, when are they gonna fix the road? Because it was just a binder coat, and I had to explain, well, they're gonna, in the spring, they'll put the top coat and make it all nice and smooth again and everything, and now they've got all the curbing in and the sidewalk in. We did receive well, not really a complaint, a comment from a citizen about the coming off of Main Street when you turn on to, what is it? Village. Right there at the corner of the Dunkin' Donuts.
Dippin' Donuts.
No, Dunkin', so maybe I'll get the
Oh,
word.
down further, Ardlock.
Ardlock, that's it, Ardlock.
Yeah, yeah.
Not Village.
Ardlock Place, when you turn that corner right there, that curbing that they put in is high, and the person was concerned that, I think she said large trucks, she'd be concerned about large trucks not being able to make that turn without hitting that high curbing. I don't know if large trucks should be turning up there anyways, but I just thought I'd mention it. But overall, I'd say it looks pretty good. I do have one concern. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I noticed that where the new sidewalk and curbing and everything is ending is before it goes around the corner, and do you remember that spot where the sidewalk gets really tiny and
Oh,
narrow there?
Didn't get there yet.
Yeah, that's not.
They didn't
part of
get
it.
there yet, but it almost looks like they're not gonna be doing that in this
I
phase.
don't think so.
But that was part of, I believe that was part of the special permit process that we talked about.
This
that
isn't
was gonna-
Stevens Linen going on right now.
There's still
This-
water and sewer.
Because this is the grant for the,
This is the infrastructure in the area as
Yeah.
opposed to the actual building itself, which I think is that's where you're gonna get your.
That's where they're gonna have to
sidewalk
get that.
adjusted.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's gonna be,
That's the way I remember it.
Camden
right.
Builders. or-
So like I said, I may be ahead of myself, so I'm ahead of
Yeah.
myself, but something we should just
No, they'll.
be cognizant of, keep an eye on, so that at some point,
Yeah, that's the Mills problem, not the water and sewer departments.
right. But when they start working on the mill, we definitely wanna hold them to that.
I hope, They get a 2-year extension too.
I think they do.
Everybody's extended.
Start working on the
But
mill.
to your point, Mr. Chairman, the sidewalks, it looks more survivable as a pedestrian who's trying to access the Dippin' Donuts property.
Yep.
As someone who parks in the library, former library parking lot.
Just looks better in
It looks
general.
better, looks better.
All right, solar project at the landfill. Don't have anything regarding that. Dudley Housing Authority,
Isn't that over yet?
what was left
Got
with
grass
that?
now.
2-year
They
extension.
should have.
Actually, I was there visiting a friend a couple days ago, and it does appear that they've seeded.
Excellent. All right, so it's quite possible they may be notifying us any time now that they're ready for final inspection and completion.
I would hope so. I think the seeding had to do, though, they were digging things up to do with water drainage, so I don't think it had anything to do with the parking.
With this rain, I'm not surprised that they've been having issues, because I imagine the difficulty in trying to keep fresh loam with seed from just washing away.
But if you'd like, I can give Jeremiah a call and just see how it's progressing.
Yeah, sure. It's small potatoes, not too worried about that.
No.
Planner's plate.
So, I'm supposed to end May 31st, but because the public hearings were postponed, I've talked to Steve and to Olivia. I can stay through the next meeting, so at least get you started on making sure that the application is correct. So
Two
I
more
will be here
years.
till mid-June.
Okay.
Hopefully a planner will come. I haven't heard whether they've had any applications yet, but
Okay. That's, actually, that just made me think of something. Guy, did you get an email from Aura? We wanted to know, you had spoken about the individual that the town had hired the last time we had a permit for a cell tower.
oh, I found someone.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
if we have, I
That's like a microwave engineer or something like that?
RF engineer.
RF engineer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We wonder if you remembered who it was.
Oro actually found the
Or did.
the information, and I looked him up, and it's not clear that he still does that, but
Oh,
I've
okay.
used another company a couple of times in a couple different communities, and I was able to track them down. And so I said we don't have anything for you at the moment because we don't have the application in front of the board.
Right.
But, so that's kind of one of the things I wanted to try to help button up. I can't
Right,
give any
yeah.
help to tell you whether or not the cell tower works or doesn't work. He can. But, so I have that name, and we are working on getting the check. Apparently, they are supposed to provide a $4,000 check to the town with the application in order to be able to hire the peer consultant, and they have just gotten the check, and now we're waiting for it to get into.
Made the check out to the city of Dudley, so we've grown in stature. So the collector was checking to make sure that it was gonna be okay for him to accept the check and deposit it, so. And he did say that.
It's
like,
fine,
won't be a
so,
problem.
right.
It'll be fine.
So we are now, and he did ask, the attorney did ask if he could just drop the check off when he came to the meeting, and I suggested it'd be better if he makes sure or gets it in advance, so that when we have the public meeting, public hearing, the board can agree to hire someone, and we have the money sitting in the account ready to go. So
Good.
I believe that's what's gonna happen. I'm not sure how.
Great. All right, yeah, so that was my question, basically. We'll have a name in place so that when we.
Yes, I have a person who has, we've emailed back and forth, and I said, great to know that you're interested, and we will get back to you when we have an
Just so
application.
everybody's following it, this engineer that we would hire is working on the benefit, for the benefit of the town, but is being paid by the.
Yes.
Right, exactly, the
Yes.
town, this is not costing, good
The town,
point,
yeah.
because there might be somebody watching right now who
Why do we have
thinks
to hire an engineer?
that we are foolishly spending the town's money on.
That's not the case.
We are spending their money on just like we do with Graves Engineering.
Subdivisions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We.
It may be
they
a cost in changing all the signage coming in and out from town of Dudley to city of Dudley. Other than that, it's-
No, yes, it is, we require them to give us money that we put into an account, and whatever we do not spend goes back to them. But we get to choose the person that we want as our peer reviewer, and we should listen to what they say, because they're, just like town council, they're here to protect us, so,
it's one of those rare instances where we get to decide what to do with someone else's money.
yes.
Wonderful country. Okay, anything else on planner's plate?
That's it.
No, okay. So, I guess, comments from the planning board. Anyone Anybody have anything they want to add?
I have a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. One is a communication I have received from Jane Wyrick at CMRPC. This is in regards to the accessory dwelling unit bylaw change or
Mhm.
possibility thereof. And as I think we maybe recall, we had partnered with, or were looking to partner with CMRPC and other communities in coming up with language that was adequate or sufficient as far as meeting the state requirements and keeping us up to date. She's looking to, if she can, be on the agenda for our next meeting. I responded to her asking what, if she was going to be available in June, that being a vacation month for many folks. I haven't a response from her yet, but our next meeting, as I see it here, would be the 28th of May.
Actually, no.
No,
I'm sorry.
that's the placeholder meeting, so
We're
that's the
gonna-
meeting
okay.
that,
Then our default then would be to what, June?
11th with 2 public hearings.
June 11th, but we have 2 public hearings that night, so that's my only
That's-
concern.
well, then-
Adding anything else to the.
That, and it looks like we're gonna have some attendance as far as one of them at least. So that would move her into July. And again, we don't know what her schedule would allow either. So it's somewhat hypothetical. So
That would be July 9th.
July 9th, so I will get back to her with the thought that she could come and, probably.
I mean, what's the pleasure of the board?
This is for the bylaw change, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So we got until fall meeting.
Right, we've got plenty of time. Right,
Yeah, I guess wait till.
I would
till
see if she could
July.
come in July. If not, then we'd have to put her on the agenda for August if she's available.
All right, so we'll try July 9th. The only thing there again is vacation season. which isn't one.
Or August 13th if she's not
Or,
available.
oh, good, thank you, we'll give her the alternate, yeah. And I'm somewhat delinquent in having sent it out, but there was some information she had provided, which I sent copies of to Mr. Horn, Mr. Edmondson, and Mr. Durgan. It's informational, so, cartoony types of things, and it's an easy go.
I like cartoons, how come I'm not on that list?
I see any
Well,
cartoons.
I thought you had one already. If you didn't get it, I will send it to you then as well. I thought you had one.
Can I request that you, in the future, that you send it to Aura and she can send it to the board so that we're
Sure.
not having a conversation that
Oh,
might,
yeah,
that potentially
yeah.
could violate open meeting? I know that you're just passing on information, but the staff can send it to everybody. It becomes a little bit murkier when a member is sending it directly to a
Oh,
member.
we're all against murky. What is
Yeah.
the date in August, the 13th, was it?
13th.
Yeah, I wanted to be sure.
So if you send it to Aura, she'll send it to the board.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, I always request that the planner send it BCCing all of you, so if you do respond all, Aura gets it instead of everyone getting, it doesn't happen very often, but just want to make sure we're sort of all above board.
Okay.
So the 13th, Mr. Ramon, I have that correct, thank you. The other thing that was of interest, I think, is that, I think it was I caught up on the videos for some of the Board of Selectmen's meetings, and on the 5th of May, the complete streets was mentioned.
Oh, yeah,
You-
I know.
you may recall that.
I saw that meeting, I was shocked, I didn't realize that,
We've been resurrected. I know it's the season, and maybe that's appropriate, but we've been pretty much deep six by the town administrator.
well, where
about
there's
a year
grant
ago.
money to be had, it was likely that people weren't gonna just sit on the sidelines and go, well, gee, we didn't have a planner, so let's just forget about that possibility of grabbing the money. So kudos to them for moving forward and continuing to look for those
One of
grants.
the, as you may recall, I'm sure you do, one of the big concerns, well, one of the major intersections we had concerns with was that Ramshorn Road kind of
Yeah.
combination deal there. And
They'll be
obviously,
close.
They're looking to do something with the sidewalk in front of the cemetery.
Which is also an equally bad situation that is gonna be an expensive fix unless they,
That's true, and one of the things obviously that they're concerned about is the money's available and not that $1 million, it's
Mhm.
100 and something, I think, as I recall. So how they can get that in there, but apparently the Complete Streets lives on at some point.
yes, right.
That
Only
would
when
be
they need
interesting.
you.
I'm sorry?
Only when they need you.
Yeah, it seems to be the case. We never did get that letter of thanks, did we? Unless the postage must have fallen off the envelope. on its
I
way.
got over it.
You got over it? I haven't quite, but that's okay.
Okay, all right. I do recall we were mentioned at one of the selectmen's meetings way back when they did the Mason Road project. So we did get a slap on the back. You might have missed it. But there was an
I think we've been
there was an
slapped somewhere. I'm
attaboy.
not too sure about the backside.
Okay. And actually, the person who deserved the most credit for the whole darn thing back then was Mr. Scanlon, quite frankly. So,
Mr. Scanlon carried the water,
Right.
no doubt about that.
okay, any other comments from the planning board?
Oh, just that we got a town meeting on May 19th, at 7 PM, Shepherd Hill. Come shape our town.
All right. Comments from the audience? There is no audience, so I don't think we have to worry about that.
Way.
Other business, approve and set the next meeting date of May 28th, 2025. So we're going to decide we are not going to meet on May 28th.
There's nothing that's come before us for
Because
A&Rs.
there's nothing that's come before us.
It's gonna be June 11th.
So the next meeting date will be June 11th.
Do we?
Can I just say, just as an aside, we did briefly discuss, or think about the fact that when we realized we did not have the correct notices, that we had that date available, but by the time we realized it all had happened and it became a problem, we would have also not
Missed the
made the
date.
deadline
Yeah.
for the 28th. So just so you know, we were thinking about it.
The 16th is the date of the town election.
June 16th.
June 16th.
Yeah.
Did we
Oh, is
want
that
to
the day
meet
it was?
before the election, or do we perhaps want to meet after the election and suffer the consequences?
We're already meeting before anyway, normal meeting.
Well, we do have it scheduled earlier in June, before the election, but I'm just thinking that usually one of the things that we do at that meeting is reorganization.
So we'll reorganize in July.
Okay. No problem. Just throwing the thought out there as a possibility, that's all.
Yeah.
We have to
But-
have June 11th because that's when the public hearing has been moved to.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't wanna
This
do
is a
it
special
all.
permit too, right?
I'm sorry?
This is a special permit, right? For this, one of these public hearings?
Cell tower.
No, I have no problem with that, I'm just making note of the fact that
We could have our.
we've got a couple of things happening within close
Yeah,
proximity to
he's
each
on
other.
the ballot. I don't know.
But he's the alternate right now, so if it's a special permit, I mean, we won't be voting on it.
Yeah.
Before the election, but he could still sit in and listen to the information.
Tell him to show up.
All right, so June 11th stands.
Okay. Approval of consultant vouchers, payment of bills. As Laura said earlier, we are going to pass over the Stonebridge Press invoice because they're gonna have a corrected invoice number for us. And we have another invoice from Graves Engineering, invoice number 39871 for Lyons Estates. This was a visit that Graves Engineering did at the request of the applicant who was here earlier this evening.
Oh, it's on his request?
Yeah.
Do we have a copy, did we get a copy of that, report? Oh, it's already in there? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we pay the invoice to Graves Engineering for $693.11 for, this was for the Lions Estate prep and site work visit.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Horn. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Did we get the money from, they were gonna, Galaxy or somebody was supposed to give us the money to pay for it? Or do we already have money in the
There's
account?
money in their account.
Okay.
Just to clarify, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. So that was, Mr. Horn made the motion, Mr. Clark seconded. Other town notices, I don't think we have anything, right? Other correspondence, nothing. I have a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
You seconded, David? Oh.
Second.
Record time.
Good night, everybody.
Record time.